Well, hello there, and welcome to another episode of Back to the Clubs with me, Major K. I'm a DJ, producer, and record label boss, and in this series I'm talking to other DJs about their club experiences. Where did they play, and was there a difference? What was their most memorable club gig to date? And where were you when the lights went out? Those are but a few of the questions I'm asking every week, and the answers are often surprising. In a previous episodes we had JD, Vanilla Ace and DJ Licious as a guest. Today, Keizer Jelle. By the way, this is the 7th episode to date. If you don't want to miss out on the 8th and the 9th and the 10th and the 180th, be sure to subscribe to Back to the Clubs in your podcast app. Give the show a sweet score too, it helps more people find the podcast, they say. Check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/officialmajork, for all sorts of bonus content. The show without this intro, some extra stories that didn't make the podcast, free music downloads, and so on. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter, all at officialmajork. My 2 weekly mix podcast, Flash Forward Presents with Major K, is probably in your podcast app as well. And do get your tickets for a party in Antwerp, Belgium I'm playing at on March 18th. Flashinghotshop.com is the place to be. And now, all about Keizer Jelle. He started his career as one half of an EDM outfit. Now, under his new moniker, he chose the tech house and house path. We had a long chat also about the state of affairs in clubland before and during COVID. We went on a trip all the way to Australia, where the craziest thing happened, and saw the eagerness to go DJ again. All in the upcoming talk. So enjoy the show. Here we go.
Back to the Clubs with Major K.
Okay, so in this episode with Keizer Jelle, he's a Dutch DJ and producer who has been in the scene for a long time. He was previously a part of a DJ duo. Welcome to the show.
Thank
Jelle.
you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great to see you again, because we met up at ADE, I think, Amsterdam Dance Event, for the people who don't know what that is, a couple of years ago, where you did kind of a workshop, right?
Yes, I think that's the last time we saw each other.
Yeah, and we did an interview in Belgium as well,
yeah.
For dance fairs. So so the things that I was telling the audience about you are right? You were part of a DJ duo.
Yeah, that's correct. I've been part of a duo called Mighty Fools for about 10 years and a couple of months altogether. And that was until 2018. And I think 1 year later we met each other in Belgium, and then we were all very happy and enthusiastic about the scene and everything's happening, and then everything closed down.
Yeah, that was kind of a shame, you could say.
Yeah, it was a small issue, a small bump in the road.
Yeah, a small issue. Nobody else cared about that, but we hope.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, and after the DJ duo stuff, you went on your own, a different musical direction as well.
Yeah. So as Mighty Fools, we basically traveled all over the world as international DJs. So we were lucky and blessed enough to play all the good clubs and festivals, including many in Belgium, which was actually one of my favorite countries to play, because the crowd is always somehow in a very, how you say it, like in a party vibe. They're always up for it, so that's a really cool place to play.
That's so us.
Yeah,
So us.
It's sometimes different in Holland, but we'll probably get to that later on if we go more deep into the clubs. And so that was mainly EDM, bass house oriented sound. And after playing that for 10 years, when I decided to continue solo under a different name, I was actually free to choose whatever I wanted to play again after a long time. So I decided to choose something kind of new for me and a new challenge, to challenge myself to see and discover different artists and different parts of the scene which I haven't got a chance to discover yet. So it was a really cool kind of a challenge for myself, but also a new way to develop my musical sound and style. And it went more into the house, tech house kind of direction, a bit more deep, a bit more focused on the clubs. So yeah.
So you only had like a year and a half as yourself to explore new
Mm-hmm.
territory and new music style. How difficult was that then it got caught up in this whole mess we called COVID and the plans that you
It
had?
was uh, kind of the worst timing you could possibly imagine. I mean, you're a DJ yourself, so you know how much time it takes to kind of build up a career. And I've noticed in the past that it's about a time span of 3 years to create a proper momentum. Like the first year, you think of a plan, the second year, you invest and build the profile, and the third year, you can basically have it out there and hopefully make either a living of it or be out there enough to get to the shows that you want to play or any other goals you've set. So I've been preparing my solo act for about a year before we ended the Mighty Fools project. So I have gave myself kind of a head start. So around the time that we first spoke about it together in Belgium, I had a couple of tracks ready. There was kind of a profile building up, but the strange guy that I am, I chose the difficult route. So I never mentioned that I was from Mighty Fools when sending my first demos. So I sent it to all these labels that never heard of me before, just like any other starting DJ. Um, Both to challenge myself and to get some approval if I'm actually a decent enough artist for other labels as well.
Yeah, yeah. If you're worthy,
Exactly. But
right?
at the same time, to make a good basis, a good grounds to build up from that
Right.
have
Yeah.
proven itself by my music instead of by what I did in the past. And so it was like a year of investing, and actually the weekend it was on a Thursday that it was announced in Holland that everything would go in lockdown, and on that Friday and Saturday I had 3 shows planned, and it was my first weekend that I had more than one show. So for me that was a huge deal,
Oh,
a big moment, and actually I was spamming it everywhere nonstop because well, yeah, I mean, every DJ knows that if you have multiple gigs in a weekend, that means you're happening. It's going. So, and also with my management, we've really planned the momentum, and that summer that was coming up was meant to be my kind of breakthrough summer under my new name, at least in Holland, because that's the market we decided to focus on first, and that
hmm.
just got completely wiped out basically. So everything I've been building up for more than 1.5 years suddenly came to a halt, to an end, and it was yeah, it was bad timing for my
Difficult. Yeah.
my my profile building plans, to say it
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, and now things are opening again, and what your future holds, that we are going to talk about at the end of the
Okay,
show.
cool.
But first, back to the clubs, because yeah, it's happening in the clubs. You said with Mighty Fools, you traveled the world a bit and performed everywhere. Could you say what countries that you performed at and how that went?
Well, that's a really long list. I think we've did at least 100 shows in the USA alone. I've played from Japan to Kazakhstan to Albania to New Zealand. There was one tour that we actually flew straight from Chile to Australia to New Zealand. Then the next day from New Zealand, we had to do a New Year's Eve show in Toronto, Canada. From Canada,
Oh
we
my,
flew to LA to Miami, and that was like literally a
crazy,
circle around
crazy.
the globe. So pretty much
Yeah,
everywhere. So that was a really cool experience, and I've seen a lot of clubs and also different ideas and takes on how a different culture thinks about a
yeah,
club actually, because it's
yeah.
pretty different actually compared to some club things that we are used to in Europe. They are different in other places.
Yeah, could you give an example of something that's really different than what you knew previously?
Well, for instance, countries like the Netherlands and Belgium, we don't we kind of dress up that we go out, but we are there in mostly our regular clothing, girls as well. If you take a small flight to the UK, all the girls are dressed up like it's a New Year's Eve party every weekend. That's one big difference that you can notice in a really small traveling distance already. And
Yeah.
Asia, for example, I mean, in Europe we have like VIP type clubs as well with the booths and the bottle services. We've played shows in Asia where the entire club are VIP booths and everybody has
Oh,
their own table until the front row. So you're playing for seated people that you try to get hyped up as much as possible that they are going to stand on their chairs on their sofas and spray their bottles and go crazy, but it's like 10 times more VIP oriented than what we are used to. And for the first time that we saw that, we were like, what's going on? Is this like a cinema? Are we a movie playing, or what's happening here?
yeah. And I guess that's more difficult then to get those people
That
engaged.
was our main concern when we did our first sound check there. We were like, oh my God, this is going to be a tough 1.5 hours. But actually, in like 15 minutes, they were all jumping around and left their tables and all went front row and went crazy. But we also
Okay.
experienced like the in-between type clubs. So there was like 90% of the club was VIP and then 10% dance floor in front, and they had cheaper tickets and it was all really separated. And then in the front, everybody was dancing, and in the back, they were just staring at you like, what's going on here? Who are these European DJs? So it's different everywhere. And
Yeah. But that's what makes DJ life so interesting that you really, if you can tour the globe and that you get to see different locations and different people, that you can manage to, whoever it is, that you can manage to get them to dance and that they really are with you that
yeah,
night.
that's the most magical feeling as an artist you can get, and also it really gave me a lot of insights as a person about different cultures and also what clubbing means to the youth in general and how it connects people in different ways. It's to me, it's
Yeah.
like every club is a beautiful and sort of a holy place, if you can put it like
Yeah,
this.
I get that. I get that. I really get that. It's a safe haven for like-minded people who just want to have fun for the night and who respect each other,
For
and
sure.
that's what it
And
is, I
also a
think.
safe place for experimenting who you are or who you want to become. If you think
Hmm.
about like clubs in Berlin, how people act as freely as they possibly can, it's amazing and sometimes a bit shocking at the same time, but it's all positive and
Yeah,
good vibes, so that's really cool.
yeah. It's all good. It's all good. Let's go really way back in your life. When you were first going out, what was the first club you ever visited?
Um, it's a club that's long gone in the center of Amsterdam. And a friend of mine was going to DJ there, and I was 16, and he convinced the promoters that I could go in through the back door, and as long as I promised not to drink any alcohol, I was allowed in.
Okay,
Because at that time, the drinking age in Holland was 18, now it's 16. So
right. Yeah.
it was different times, and yeah, I was 16, so it was a long time ago.
Yeah, and what was the name of that club?
I can't even remember. I just knew it was a club, and a friend of mine who I really looked up to because he was a few years older and he already had some gigs, and I could join him, and it was the coolest feeling ever. And at that point, I mean, I was already listening to like many mixtape I found on Soulseek and Kazaa and those apps back in the day. So trying to get a taste of clubbing that way through live sets, but then I got caught on with the clubbing virus, and luckily my parents were really cool with it, so they let me travel at 16. I went to Belgium a lot, to Germany a lot, to all these kinds of different clubs just to see what was out there. I've been tons of times to Oostende in the harbor, was a really big Hangar 1, I
Oh yeah,
think.
that's true. What was that called
Hangar
again?
1 or something?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've been there tons of times, and in Ghent and Antwerp and all those places. It was awesome.
Yeah. So you mentioned the first club that you went to and that you've been watching videos of what a club experience could be
hmm
like. Was it like you've imagined it to be, or was it even better,
For me, it
or
was
how did
even
you
better.
feel?
It was everything I hoped it would be. Loud music, party people,
Yeah.
and while I was 16, I still managed to get a couple of beers, so it was perfect.
Yeah, well, it's a long time ago, so that doesn't matter anymore, I
Yeah.
think, when you're telling us
hmm
that. Yeah. So what attracts you to a club? If you yeah, you say, well, I've been all over the world, seen loads of clubs. What club do you feel most at home at for some reason?
After all these years and all these shows, still the small clubs with the low ceilings and the more smelly, the better. Because that's
Yeah.
exactly what we spoke earlier about, the clubs that people really let themselves go because they, even though now we have the phones with the cameras and everything, but they still feel free and liberated at these clubs, and they let themselves go as far as they feel comfortable with. And that's mostly the coolest places. And as a DJ and as a visitor as well, mostly those kinds of clubs make you connect the most with the music. Like a huge festival still has a certain distance between the artist and the crowd. And when it's like a 500 capacity club that's sold out and it's sweaty and the sweat dripping literally from the floor in your cup, so like
Yeah,
your
from
yeah
the
your
walls.
beer
Yeah,
is
yeah,
suddenly
yeah.
really salty and your shirt is wet but you're not sweating.
Oh, those
Yeah,
good times.
I
Those good
mean,
times. Yeah, yeah.
these kind of atmospheres really create something special at both ends of the spectrum. So for the artist and for the visitor, it's the most memorable. And ever since I first noticed a place that this could happen, I was hooked, and I just partied as much as I can. And not even
Mhm.
like I never did drugs. I started drinking later, basically when I was a lot older, just on the adrenaline alone from the music and the crowd itself got me going like until 7 a.m. no problem. I mean, nowadays 7 a.m. is not doable for me anymore, but when I was 16
Okay.
until 18, that was like no problem.
That's no
Yeah.
problem at all. Yeah. Yeah. You must have seen tons of DJs play at different kinds of clubs and different clubs. Is there one DJ performance in a club that comes to mind and that you think, well, oh, when I was there, I was blown away by then, and it still resonates?
There's not really one that put my world literally upside down, but like a combination of different parties really changed me as an artist as well.
Okay, such as?
So when we just started Mighty Fools, like before we even really produced anything together, my partner back then, who I started Mighty Fools with, called Andy, he was like 2 3 years younger than me. So I had a bit more clubbing experience, and I told him like, oh man, this party in Utrecht, it's at the Tivoli, and you have to go there. Boys Noise is playing, and this is gonna be it. This is gonna be life changing for you. And before that, I went to like some techno parties and stuff, but I knew like that Boys Noise, something was gonna happen there. And they had Kroekers, Joost van Belle, and Boys Noise on the lineup, and
Nice
very
lineup.
nice
Yeah.
lineup. Like that was
Hmm.
2007 or something, so that was at the peak of that sound. And we walked in there, and I was like full of adrenaline because I knew what was gonna happen. I was just hoping that what I thought was gonna happen. For Andy's, that was his first real clubbing experience. And so we walked in and we went on the balcony and we looked over the crowd and Boys Noise started playing his first track and the biggest mosh pit you can imagine in a club somehow emerged and people were falling over each other and crowd surfing and it was the biggest mess you could ever imagine and I was just standing there with goosebumps like yes, this is the experience I hoped for my partner to see as well in his life and he was like oh my God, we have to do this. We have to go for it. And that was like one of those moments that you just, even if I think back about it, I get goosebumps again because it was such a magical moment. Because everybody can imagine how of an impact that can be for a person to experience that for the first time. And it was amazing.
Yeah, and especially because it kind of showed you the way, or you guys, and especially your younger counterpart, the way that things could be,
Yes,
and perhaps that you could aim for.
exactly. That was like the perfect situation that if all the stars align and the time is right and everything is perfect, a club can explode like this that he now witnessed as well. Because before that, I've been as I said, I've been to Belgium and to Germany, and I've been to Nature One was a big festival in Germany back then.
Hmm.
I spent there
Yeah.
multiple days on the campsite, and so I've seen different places and different kind of vibes, but this was like I knew in advance that this would probably be one of those magical nights, and then when it actually happened, that was perfect. So that was a
Yeah.
life-changing moment for both of us.
Did you have a similar moment when you were thinking of going solo, that you thought, well, okay, perhaps another musical direction, and perhaps you saw a DJ play or heard their productions that you thought, well, okay, yeah, perhaps that's the way I want to go.
Well, a guy who lived a long time in the city where I'm from, a lot younger than me, but really talented, is a guy called Luc van Dijk, who's really making moves in the house scene right now. And so when I was sort of looking and searching for what I want to do after Mighty Fools, I gave him a text and told him like, hey, you got any cool shows I can join you with? And so I joined him to the Elementenstraat in Amsterdam, which is a legendary venue, really industrial looking. And in the 90s, there were like hardcore and gabber parties there, and it has a
Gabbers,
really
yeah.
big reputation. So, and I never been there, so my expectation was big of the venue, but also of Luke's set, and that combination as well. Well, I was witnessing it, and with EDM, it's always like making basically big explosions and having the energy as high as possible. And then I saw him playing a really set focused on the vibe, and they also booked Camel Fat, who were just released Cola, so
Yeah.
people were kind of getting into that sound as well. So I suddenly witnessed the magic of telling a story for like 2 hours with your DJ set instead of like we used to do, trying to peak as hard as you can in 1 hour and then fly home
Exactly,
again.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
this whole approach also really opened my eyes, and the way the crowds responded to it, and I felt that unity again that I also felt in my first clubbing experiences, and also that boys noise party, like when the crowd is one and everybody's traveling on the music into the same direction and following the DJ. That's the best feeling you can have in a club, I think.
Did you experience the same with the gig that you played yourself as Mighty Fools or as Keizer Jelle, being a set that you thought, well, this was one of the best things that I've ever done as a DJ?
Many times, luckily. Many times. There were many memorable nights that I was lucky enough to play. And also, these nights, it wasn't just because that me or us together played a good set, but it was like a combination of the right venue, the right atmosphere, the right crowd, as I said before, sometimes everything aligns in the right way, and one of those magical nights somehow emerges, and you feel it coming. Like in the first part of your set, you feel it bubbling, and the buzz is getting higher and higher, and afterwards, everybody's like, "What? This night is crazy!" And actually, we experienced our first time in Australia. Um, we were just as Mighty Fools for 1 year, and we got an email from Australia like, "Hey, you want to tour here?" And I thought it was a joke, so I said, "Yeah, sure." And suddenly we got an offer for like 10 club shows. It wasn't paying well,
Ooh,
but we were like, "Let's go, once in a lifetime opportunity." And the first
sure.
club we played was called Chinese Laundry. And it was a tiny club, exactly how I described before, with a low ceiling, really small, about 500 people. And we started playing there, and it was one of those magical nights. And actually the club gave us a call the next day like, "So we have to talk. You guys were awesome, but we have a $10,000 bill because the crowd literally tore the air conditioning off the roof." And the heat of the
No,
of the club actually destroyed part of the equipment. So we want to
no
give you the biggest
way.
compliments we can do because we're insured, and this was the best night ever, and we'll see you next year.
Okay, good thing that they asked you
Yeah,
back
yeah, yeah.
then.
So we
So,
actually
yeah.
purely on the fact that there was like that this happened, really sort of it was kind of a viral moment. So everybody started talking like, "Whoa, the Mighty Fools, they did a $10,000 damage to the clubs. It went that crazy." And so we went back to Australia like 6 more tours, partly just on this story alone because everybody wanted to experience a night like this. So the next year we came back from the first second, people were up for it, and they were looking which air conditioning they could tear from the roof because they want to go, like they want to go all out. So that was
Yeah,
awesome, and it's just one of the
that's
many
amazing.
crazy stories I can think of.
So that club, you played there a lot. They kept asking
Hmm.
you back. Is that the club that you played at or went to the most in your life?
I think the club that I went to the most was actually the Tivoli in Utrecht, where also the Boys Noise Party was, because first
Right.
we went there as clubbers, as fans, and then we got to know the promoter. So like 2 years later, we got to play there as well. And those nights also were really rowdy and really cool, and had these experiences that I was hoping for that would happen to me as well. So I mean, the club is long gone and long closed now, but back then we were like part of the furniture there, and we just knocked on the
Yeah.
back door, and whoever opened the door would know us, and we would know them. We're like, "Hey," and we drank all the beers backstage from everybody's rider, and you know how it goes.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And actually, when a rider is full of whatever that they ask for, no way that everything is going to be consumed anyway by those
Nope.
artists. So, you know.
Lucky for guys like me.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, you know a lot of DJs, of course, because you've done the circuits, you've done the clubs, you've done the festivals. If you talk to DJs nowadays and you meet up with each other or you WhatsApp or whatever, is there talk about like a club they really think, well, this is really the bomb, this you really must see, this is kind of the best in the world?
Um, Not really, actually. And I think it's partially because the club scene wasn't at its best moment when COVID hit, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
In Holland as well, actually, pretty much all of the good clubs in Holland were closing in the years before COVID, and also around the globe. Like you have the top 100 clubs, of course, and I've played a couple of
Mm.
those, and also they sort of lost their magic and touch after a couple of years. I think it was a difficult phase for clubs, and when COVID hit as well, that was basically for some like the final nail in the coffin, but also for some a good reset, I think, because
Yeah.
yeah, of course you talk a lot about different clubs, and oh yeah, that one is really cool, and now you really have to go there and whatever. but the year before COVID, it wasn't in a good state, I think. So
No, it has been really hard for people in the nightlife, people who have a club and try to make a living off that
hmm
club. Yeah, it wasn't easy before COVID, but it didn't help, of
no, no.
course. But does that perhaps mean, like you said, a reset, but perhaps new opportunities as well? That like the clubs that weren't doing that well before COVID, they disappeared, and now perhaps new initiatives can arise, and a new start can be found here, and perhaps a better start, perhaps more uh, adapted to what people expect in 2022 and so on.
I think so, but it's difficult to say because actually it was yesterday in Holland that we've heard that everything will be opening up again soon. And
Yeah.
until yesterday, everything was just closed pretty much for 2 entire years. And I think, for
hmm
instance, Belgium has taken a different approach and things have been sort of open and closing. And
Yeah, that's true. But mainly, I think we've been the clubs have been open for like 6 weeks or 9 weeks at the most,
hmm
mid-pandemic. But now I think as we record this, and I think that's important to say, it's Wednesday, February 16, 2022. And so in 2 days, that's the 18th of February in Belgium, the clubs go open again. And I really hope that it will be for a long, long time, and that they
I hope so too.
don't have to close again. Because if that were the case, I think it's going to be even
Yeah,
tougher.
100%.
But now here in Belgium, you can see that there's new concepts and new initiatives that are taken, sometimes by people who were in the business for a long time already, others by people that just want to have a go at it. And so perhaps it has been tough, and it has been a tough 2 years, and things were what they were, and perhaps the support from governments and whatever wasn't what it should have been. But now, after that, and now that we can reopen, there's perhaps a new drive, a new thoughts about how to do things better and grab people's attention and get them back to the dance floor.
Yeah, well said. I fully agree with this. I think a sort of a downside of the dance industry before COVID was that when sort of the EDM bubble kind of burst, there was a certain pressure on many festivals, many clubs, many promoters to still make money, to generate money, and it wasn't necessarily all about the music anymore. And for crowds as well, they were spoiled is not the right word, but there was there were tons of good DJs to see every weekend. So it wasn't like something you were waiting for. Well, 2 years is kind of extreme, but like
Well,
you weren't
it
counting
is, yeah.
down for like a month to see that certain DJ or go to that certain night. And I think this gives a huge new impulse to a night itself. When the clubs did open for it was like 2 weeks they were open last year, and they were closing at 12 midnight. So I was
Right.
able to play two shows, and I did one opening show, and I was worried because the starting of the clubs were at like 7 p.m. and I was like, nobody's gonna show up. And they were actually like
Yeah.
trying to break open the door to run in because they couldn't wait to party
Yeah.
again. And
Yeah.
from the second track that I played, people going crazy, and I had a packed room within 15 minutes. So you can see that people they're excited again, they're stoked again, and that was something that was, I think, a little bit missing. So, and now you see it everywhere that all the people are like, I can't wait to go out again. When I get in the club, I will
Yeah.
go crazy. And with this mindset, people all go crazy, and everybody around you goes crazy, and it will be a good night. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a cool approach. It's a very unique situation. I think we haven't been ever been able to experience like this, with such a hard reset, such a big pause in the whole thing. But
Mhm.
it's probably gonna be pretty cool to do a couple of gigs in the coming months.
For sure, for sure. And is there a club perhaps that comes to mind that you haven't played at before, but that you think, well, if this could work out, this club in Madrid or in Brazil or whatever, that would be the bomb?
This is an endless list because when I
You have a checklist, like a bucket list with all the clubs that you want to play in, and like,
well,
okay,
I
done
want
this
to
one,
play
done that
everywhere.
one.
I mean, the problem with the whole
Sure.
new project
Yeah.
was that
I know the
I was
feeling,
just
yeah.
about to take off and get the shows in, and then everything closed again. So I have like 12, 13 shows on my new name, which is kind of nothing yet. So as Mighty Fools, I was spoiled. We did over 1,000 shows, but under my new name, I want to play everywhere. Also, the clubs that I played as Mighty Fools before, I want to play with my new sound. So there's not really one that comes to mind because both the clubs have changed in the past 2 years because of the COVID situation, but also for me, a lot of things have changed. So it will be a whole new
Yeah,
experience
yeah,
again.
yeah. I can imagine that for you it's all new as well because it's different material that you're taking on the
Mm-hmm.
road, and so even if you had a certain experience with Mighty Fools at a certain venue, it might be totally different and a totally different build-up and totally different vibe, but equally good
Yeah, exactly.
with the new project.
Yeah, exactly that. So it's probably going to be really exciting times ahead. So I'm stoked. I cannot wait, man.
Yeah. So yeah, good times ahead, I think. You mentioned that you have like 12 or so gigs lined up already. Okay, it's not much in comparison to what you were used to pre-COVID and with Mighty Fools, but it's a
For
start.
sure.
Where can people find you?
Oh my God, I have to look in the schedule. Uh, it's mostly festivals actually that are confirmed now, and
Okay.
because there
Yeah.
was nobody knew that things would open up so quickly here, so the festival started
Mhm.
booking just to make sure they had the artists covered for whenever it
Right.
might happen. And festivals, we know by now that it's the safest choice to do something outside in the summer. That's COVID-wise the safest choice. So they
Yeah.
started booking. So it's a
Absolutely,
lot
yeah.
of festivals, and most gigs I got now are starting in May, and I'm already preparing my sets, and it's in May, so I
Yeah.
have like 2 more months to prepare these sets, and I'm already like in record box every evening.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and what festivals are you going to be at?
It's let's see, Fairy Tale Festival, Freakend, Sunday People, Seventh Sunday, Zomerson, and a couple of more are in options. So it's kind of
Yeah.
a nice list already. So that gives me a lot of positivity, and I'm so excited.
Okay, Keizer Jelle, thanks for joining us here in Back to the Clubs. It was so fun talking to you, and I hope we meet each other in real life very
Thank you.
soon.
I hope so too, and thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Might as well visit him at one of the festivals he'll be playing at in the next couple of months, or invite him to play at one of my Flashing Fridays parties. Not the next one though, Jana Vitiligo will headline that one. See all info on flashinghotshop.com. Find the link to our Patreon page in the show description if you want to support the show and hear Keizer Jelle talk about how different the Dutch government has taken on COVID in regards to the club scene. He also reversed the roles and asked me a question about how I survived the COVID lockdowns. Oh yeah, if you like the show, don't forget to subscribe to it in your podcast app and find me as @officialmajork on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. Next week's guest is gonna be, well, I'm not sure yet. I have a few interviews lined up with Insulate, for instance, the Croatian female techno DJ and producer, and with Robert Abigail, perhaps best known for the Mojito song. Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? Let's find out together. So see you next time and enjoy the sunshine. Bye bye.
Back to the clubs with Major K.